Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new web series addressing what autism is and how we can be fairer to the people around us with it. To a lot of you, I know this might be a little bit of a snore, but trust me, after this video, you will be an ambassador of fairness, kindness, and friendship to your friends and peers on the autism spectrum. And not to worry, all my information is well researched, and the sources can be found in the description below. Now to start out, I'm going to discuss the definition of autism, the three main aspects of autism symptoms, and some common, but not necessarily true to everyone, symptoms of autism. The first thing I'll be talking about today is the medical definition of autism. That is, it is a complex developmental disability. It usually appears during early childhood and may affect a person's ability to communicate and interact with others. What does that mean? Well, to be frank, it's complicated. As stated before, autism is complex and is never the same in any two cases. It is a developmental disorder, meaning that it affects a person's typical development during childhood, be that physically, mentally, or socially. Another important thing to remember is that autism is a spectrum disorder, meaning that it affects people in a varying degree of ways. A good way to picture this is to imagine autism as a sundae bar. The person is the ice cream, and the different toppings are the different symptoms associated with autism. And speaking of symptoms, I would next like to tell you guys about the three main categories we tend to group symptoms of autism into: social issues, communication issues, and sensory issues. What we'll be talking about is social issues. There are a lot of symptoms that are common in this category. Not responding to their name by the age of 1, preferring to play alone, having flat or inappropriate facial expressions, not understanding boundaries or avoiding physical contact, or not really understanding emotions or expressing them improperly. Now, what I want to stress to you guys is that people with autism not understanding your emotions or wanting to play alone doesn't make them bad people. It just means their brains work a little differently to mine and to yours. It's okay if you feel confused or upset by them. Just try to be as understanding as you can and try to give them a helping hand whenever they might need one. The next category of symptoms are communication issues. Some of the most common are delayed speech and language skills, repeating words, reverse pronouns, not responding to pointing, using few or no gestures, talking in a flat, robotic, or sing-song voice, or not understanding jokes, teasing, or sarcasm. Again, these symptoms are common, but not necessarily relevant to everyone on the autism spectrum. And final category of symptoms that affect people on the spectrum are sensory issues. There are not as many symptoms in this category as the others, but they can still have a profound effect on the person's life. The person affected could be over or undersensitive, or even both at certain times. There's also this thing called a sensory overload people can experience. Too much information can lead to stress, anxiety, and possibly physical pain. This may result in withdrawal, challenging behavior, or meltdowns. Autistic sensory issues are complicated to understand for sure, but a useful and interesting way to understand autism is to think of the brain as a computer. The sources are input, and the autistic brain has the wires connecting the inputs, except the inputs for the senses are a little mixed up. People with autism, just like everyone else, often use coping mechanisms to help them get through tough times. Oftentimes, people on the spectrum use stimming to do this. They might do this to show emotion, alleviate stress, release energy, or just find comfort. Stimming is the act of repetitive motions or actions that are repeated over and over again. They can involve the whole body, part of the body, or even toys or objects. The thing people with ASD like to do is routine. They often thrive on routine and do some of their best work when on a strict schedule or plan. A change in their normal daily routine can be very upsetting to people with ASD and might cause them to have just a bit of a meltdown. Some people on the spectrum can be described as nonverbal. This means that they do not communicate using verbal communication. Rather, they use body language, gestures, text, or even sign language. Not speaking does not mean that these people cannot speak or lack the ability to do so, although sometimes they might. It can also mean that they just prefer to use other methods of communication when communicating with others. People with ASD who do speak might use language in unusual ways. Some may not be able to string words into sentences, and others may repeat one phrase over and over again, and others may even repeat what others around them say. Everyone with ASD has different communication skills, but they are all good. We simply need to understand when to help, when to speak, and when to listen. So today we discussed the definition of autism, the three main aspects of autism, and some common symptoms of autism. Thank you for coming, and please like and share. Bye-bye now.